Hi, this is Nick Kershaw. When you're listening to the New Wave Music Podcast.
You're tuned into the New Wave Music Podcast, your go-to destination for exclusive interviews, album reviews, and the latest music news. And now, here are your hosts, Steve and Don.
Welcome back to another thrilling episode of the New Wave Music Podcast. Don's once again joining me back in the studio for some fantastic album reviews.
Happy to be here, Steve.
So Don, why don't you go ahead and get us started with our first artist?
Okay, so we have the return of Haircut 100. They have a new album called Boxing the Compass. Haircut 100 is an English pop band formed in Beckenham in 1980 by Nick Hayward, Les Neames, and Graham Jones, known for bright melodic pop with funk, soul, and jazz rhythms, especially on the one album they recorded with that lineup called Pelican West. You're probably familiar with the tunes Love Plus One. Favorite shirt, Boy Meets Girl. And Fantastic Day. So Boxing the Compass reunites the classic lineup with Hayward for the first full-length album since the early 1980s. The album was produced by Sean Reed. So here's the opening cut, Come Back to Me.
It's a freezing cold war. I'll never forget your front door. Making it all come back to life before we bring it together. Come back to me, never surrender. Come back to me through bricks and mortar. Come back to me and stay forever young.
So Come Back to Me begins with some live crowd underneath. At first I was a bit confused, wondering if it was going to be a live album. But I don't think even this track is live. I don't know if it's just there, maybe to set the stage for their reunification. But it's a bright, easygoing pop song that immediately reestablishes the band's melodic style. The groove feels light and relaxed, more like a welcome than a statement of intent. The title, Come Back to Me, plays neatly into the reunion theme, even if the lyric is not strictly about the band. Guitar and rhythm carry the song rather than dense production tricks, which keeps it in line, I think, with their earlier work. It's a doorway into the record, I think, signaling that this is a present tense album rather than a nostalgia exercise.
Well, Don, you mentioned at the beginning, I love how this starts out with kind of a live crowd ambience that kind of fades in. To me, right out of the gate, this was one of the album's most emotionally effective moments. Haircut 100 delivers a heartfelt song about longing, forgiveness, and second chances. The arrangement remains beautifully understated, allowing Hayward's vocals to carry much of the emotional weight. Gentle keyboard textures and great guitar work create an atmosphere that feels intimate without becoming sentimental. It's a reminder that the band has always been capable of writing more than just upbeat pop songs.
Okay, so the second track is Vanishing Point. So on Vanishing Point, the band takes us out onto the dance floor and really, I think, brings out the funk. It's built around a tight groove and a strong bass presence, with the band leaning into, that funk side of their sound. The feel is more driving and rhythmic than reflective, giving the record some, I think, early momentum. It works as one of the key examples of the band reconnecting with their rhythmic identity in a modern recording.
Don, one thing I found out on this track is that it's immediately clear that Haircut 100 hasn't forgotten what made them special. The familiar interplay between guitars, bass, and crisp percussions instantly recalls Pelican West. This production has a little bit of modern clarity that keeps everything sounding fresh. Nick Hayward sounds remarkably comfortable, his voice retaining the warmth and optimism that made him one of Britain's most distinctive frontmen. Lyrically, the song reflects on time slipping away and the importance of holding on to the moment. Rather than dwelling on aging, it celebrates the journey, making for an uplifting track that eases listeners back into the world of Haircut 100.
So the next song is Soulbird.
If you can take what you deserve and you repeat what just occurred, then you're a bird, a soul bird, then you're a bird, a soul bird. If you can take what you design and make or break what you desire, then you're a bird, a soul bird, then you're a bird, a soul bird, soul bird, soul bird.
I'd say Soulbird is one of the smoother, more melodic cuts with a light touch in the arrangement. I think the title hints at lift and freedom, which fits the overall breezy mood of the record. Guitars and rhythm still do most of the work, but it feels slightly more airy than the hard groove tracks. It sits comfortably among the album's more tuneful songs, adding to its sense of movement and color. And it helps keep the mid-album stretch flowing without turning into a ballad section.
Don, I found this track to be one of the album's hidden gems. It's built around one of the catchiest melodies on the record. It recalls the breezy sophistication that made Haircut 100 stand out in the early 80s. The rhythm section locks into an effortless groove while the guitars dance around the melody with remarkable precision. And Nick Hayward himself has said he believes this song could have easily been a hit during the band's original era. And it's difficult to disagree with that. Everything about it, from the memorable chorus to the vibrant arrangement, captures the timeless appeal that has always defined Haircut 100. It's joyful, melodic, and endlessly replayable.
Next, we have Rain Cloud.
There's a rainbow making its way south, better than all this. There's a warm hot spotlight laying down a landscape under a crystal clear blue sky. Do me a rain cloud, do me a rain cloud, do it again.
So Rain Cloud begins, I think, with the crunchiest guitar moment, adding a bit of edge to the record. The mood still fits the band's upbeat character, but there's a little more bite in the playing. The weather image in the title matches the album's mix of sunshine and passing shadows. The rhythm remains snappy, so it feels more like a change in texture than a heavy detour. I think this track was useful for the pacing of the album. It breaks up some of the smoother songs and keeps the energy up.
Despite its title, Rain Cloud isn't a gloomy song. Instead, it explores how difficult moments eventually pass and often leads to personal growth. I found the lyrics to strike a thoughtful balance between realism and optimism. Musically, the song features some of the album's most tasteful arrangements. The interplay, once again, between percussions, keyboards, and guitars create an atmosphere that's both relaxed and sophisticated. Rather than building towards a dramatic climax, the song unfolds naturally. As we used to like to say on this podcast, this is definitely a track that benefits from listening to it with a good pair of headphones.
So the weather theme continues with Sunshine.
You are my sunshine, you are my moonlight, you bring me sunshine, you bring the sun, you are my lifeline, you are the good time.
Sunshine is another of the album's more immediate danceable songs. It's built around a bright, tuneful groove that fits the title well without turning into pure novelty. The arrangement favors guitars and rhythm section, giving it a clean, open feel. This is definitely more funk. It works as one of the clearest, I think, summer pieces on a record that is often described, I think, in seasonal terms. It helps anchor the album's lighter side while keeping the overall sound cohesive.
Once again, the band sounds completely at ease on this track. They're allowing the groove to carry the song without any unnecessary embellishment. Nick Hayward once again delivers a warm, uplifting vocal that feels like a thank you to listeners who have stayed with the band throughout the decade. I found this chorus to be very memorable, and the musicianship remains impeccable. The song I found really does explore that theme of sunshine on an optimistic high and perfectly captures the spirit of the band. Moving on to the next track, The Unloving Plum.
The things you say are only a way of withholding love. But don't push away too much, 'cause you'll push away my love. You're the first unloving plum that made me feel like
This was one of the first singles the band released from this album, and to me, it still remains one of the album highlights. It's built around an irresistible rhythm section, playful horn accents, and Hayward's instantly recognizable melodies. And to me, this song captures everything that fans may have hoped for with a Haircut 100 reunion and how it would sound. There's an effortless charm throughout the performance. The lyrics cleverly mix humor with observations about difficult relationships. Every member of the band finds room to shine without overcrowding the mix. And it's catchy enough to sit comfortably alongside of the band's classic singles while still sounding like the work of an experienced musicians rather than artists trying to recreate their youth.
Yeah, this track was, I think a nice break from the punk. Instead, we get some kind of jangly pop. It's classic 80s style, new wave, but achieved mainly through guitars and rhythm rather than heavy synth use. The groove is nimble and slightly offbeat, matching, I think, the quirky title. The lyrics are, I think, very British and characterful. I love the opening lines, "Cover me in diet pop, spray me with your words." Definitely one of the standout cuts on the album.
Moving on to the next track, Someone.
not enough, not so tough. I cried it out tonight. Said it like I'm not enough. I'm gonna be out of your mind. Tried it out tonight. Tried it out tonight in this fashion. So going out's a good thing. Going out's a good thing. It's laughter, laughter.
This track I found returns once again to the brighter side of the album. This song effortlessly balances optimism with vulnerability, showcasing the mature songwriting that runs throughout the album. The groove is irresistible, driven by some great bass from Les and subtle horn arrangements that never overpower the vocals. The lyrics celebrate the importance of meaningful connections and finding people who help shape our lives. It's a simple concept delivered with sincerity, making this song feel universal without becoming predictable.
Yeah, the band returns to the funk on this track. Bass and rhythm lock into a tight pattern, giving it a feel that recalls, the early Haircut 100 material. The song balances groove with a clear, singable melody, which is one of the band's trademarks. And it helps underline the idea that the group can still work in that style without sounding dated. It functions as one of the record's main examples of their rhythmic pop approach.
Let's jump into the next track. That's a Start.
So I miss you now, and that's a start. Every time you sing, you're full of stars. Feel it in your soul and sing it until you fall apart. Oh, I love you from the bottom of my heart. Oh, I love you from the very, very, very bottom of my heart.
This song shifts more into a reflective mood while maintaining the band's trademark groove. The rhythm feels relaxed, allowing the melody to breathe naturally before building into an uplifting chorus. Don, what I found made this song effective is that its message about new beginnings. Rather than pretending every fresh start comes easy, Hayward acknowledges the uncertainty that accompanies change. Musically, I found it to be another reminder of how effortlessly Haircut 100 blends sophisticated musicianship with accessible pop songwriting.
Yeah, it's a blend of dreamy guitar textures and very gentle funk feel. The title suggests small beginnings and modest progress, which fits the band's, I think, understated tone on this album. And the arrangement leaves space around the vocal and guitar, making it more relaxed rather than busy. And I think it acts as a bridge between those more groove-driven songs and this closing stretch. And it shows the band leading into more subtlety, I think, while still keeping that rhythmic DNA in play.
And we're starting to reach the end of the album. The next track, Dynamite.
You and me together for the rest of the night. Oh, dynamite, we are dynamite. You and me together for the rest of the night. Fire satellite.
I found this song to be one of the album's most energetic performances. Dynamite injects a welcome burst of excitement towards the end of the record. The rhythm section really drives the song forward with its infectious momentum. And I also like the little bit of how the guitars were mixed across this arrangement. Hayward sounds generally energized, delivering one of his strongest vocals on the album. The chorus explodes with confidence without becoming overly produced or overly polished. It's impossible not to hear the echoes of the band's early 80s danceable style era. It's one of those songs that practically demands to be played at full volume.
Yeah, Dynamite is definitely one of the album's punchiest tracks. The groove is sharper and more energetic, which suits the title's sense of ignition. Rhythm guitar and bass do much of the lifting here, giving it a compact, driving feel. But it still comes across as melodic pop. It works late in the running order here, I think, to kick the energy back up before the closer.
All right, and that's going to take us to the final track, A Wonderful Life.
I thought I'd never find out what life's about and what it really means. Thought I'd never see you and talk to you and find out for myself. I thought you didn't care. I thought you didn't care.
I found closing out this album with this song serves as the perfect companionship to the opening track. This song embraces gratitude without sounding overly sentimental. Rather than presenting life as perfect, the lyrics acknowledge both hardships and triumphs. The arrangement slowly builds around shimmering guitars and rich harmonies.
Yeah, Wonderful Life is an upbeat closer that brings the album full circle tonally, I think. The title and mood echo the record's broader sense of gratitude and ease. Musically, it feels open and affirming rather than introspective, which fits its role as a final track, I think. It keeps guitar's rhythm and melody straightforward, letting the song land cleanly. It closes the comeback with a feeling of settled happiness rather than drama.
So, Don, I found Boxing the Compass as an album that fans may never expected to hear. More than 4 decades after Pelican West, Haircut 100 reunited with Nick to create a true follow-up rather than simply revisiting their past glories. I feel this album succeeds because it never felt like a reunion created to capitalize on nostalgia. Instead, it sounds like musicians rediscovering why they enjoyed making music together in the first place. The chemistry here is genuine. The performances are relaxed. Nick Hayward's songwriting remains every bit as melodic and thoughtful as fans have hoped. This album doesn't try to rewrite Pelican West, nor should it. For lifetime fans, it's one of the most satisfying comeback albums in recent memory. For newer listeners, it's proof that great songwriting, exceptional musicianship, and timeless melodies never go out of style. For me, this is one of my top albums of 2026.
Yeah, I like it too, Steve. The album sounds like Haircut 100 picking up their old musical language without forcing it. The groove, melody, and lightness are still there, but the record doesn't feel trapped in the past. It leans into warmth, movement, and character more than drama. And the songs are concise and easy on their feet. And more than anything, it sounds like a band comfortable with who they are. And I often find that the second album after reuniting is often the best. So I look forward to even, better things from the band.
You're listening to the New Wave Music Podcast. Now, let's take a look at what's new in the world of music news.
First up, Soft Cell are back with another track previewing their upcoming album. This song is a heavier electronic pop track that really highlights the darker atmospheric side of Soft Cell, as the band describes. It's more considerably darker and in a moodier direction than the rest of the album. The track in question is called The Space Inside.
Beneath the starry sky, aching souls in leather, with painted masks say hi, forever together, looking for a place to escape the empty space inside.
And this will be coming from their upcoming album, Danceteria. It's going to be Soft Cell's sixth and final studio album, set to be released September 25th. Next up, if you're a fan of DEVO, you'll definitely want to check out this one. Gerald v. Casale has a brand new song and video called Just Do It.
So, get ready for a bloody night. Dance, 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 do the trampolini. Now marching time. Dance, 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 the bed is bleeding. Kiss the ring now, kiss the ring now. Dance, 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 do the trampolini. Now marching time. Dance, 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 the bed is bleeding. Let it bleed now, let it bleed now.
And if you know Gerald and DEVO, you're probably already going to have a good idea where this song is going. And I also recommend to highly check out the video that you can find on YouTube. Now here's something I honestly thought I would never say about Sparks. After all these years, Ron and Russell Mal are doing something that they've never done in their incredibly long career. They're releasing a live album. It's called Sparks Live on the Moon. It's set to be released on August 14th. And Sparks gave us a preview of what you can expect with this album with the release of the single Whippings and Apologies.
Whippings and apologies. Over and over they did it to her when she disagreed. Whippings and apologies. Over and over and over and over. You know that it can't be right. 'Cause she's got holy water running through her veins. And now it's me that she hates, it's me that she hates. Oh no, Mom.
We've also got some news from Susanna Hoffs. The Bangles co-founder is preparing to release her first album of original material in over 14 years. The album is called The List, and the first single is out now called Casablanca.
Did I imagine this feeling? I'm feeling, still reeling. Are you with me? Casablanca. Did you imagine you'd be in my dream that keeps repeating? Are you with me? Casablanca.
And that album is currently scheduled to arrive September 18th. And finally, if you need a little ska with a little bit of reggae mixed into your new music, well, Save Ferris has you covered. They have a brand new song called Kiss Me Tonight.
Kiss me tonight, even if it kills me tomorrow. Even if my heart will break, even if it's a bad mistake, I don't care. I wanna be with you. I wanna be with you. Kiss me tonight, even if it kills me tomorrow. You can rip my heart in two.
This track is part of a really interesting compilation called Songs in the Keys of Diane, a reggae compilation of Diane Warren songs.
That's a wrap on music news. Now let's get back into our next album review.
All right, well, our next album comes from Midge Ure. Now, that name may sound familiar to you, or it may not, but he's definitely had his fingers in a lot of influential songs. Midge and Bob Geldof were the ones that formed Band-Aid, and you're no doubt going to remember Do They Know It's Christmas? But as Midge would say, it's not Christmas time, so we're not going to play that song. But some of Midge's other works are going to be his other band, Ultravox, and you're no doubt going to recognize the songs Vienna. And Dancing with Tears in My Eyes. Midge has also gone on to have a huge solo career with such hits as If I Was. And Dear God. This album is a man of two worlds. Now, this album actually has two sides to it, or as Midge put it, two worlds. World one is all music, and it's all instrumentation. Me and Donna really aren't going to share our thoughts with the instrumentation, as that's a lot more subjective. But we are going to dive into world two, the songs. And this is really where Midge's songwriting takes center stage. Well, Don, let's go ahead and jump into this world. We're going to open up with the opening track, Just Words. Opening the vocal half of the album, Just Words immediately establishes the reflective mood that runs throughout the record. Built around shimmery synth textures and restrained electric percussions, the song demonstrates that Midge has no interest in overwhelming the listener with production. Instead, every instrument serves the lyrics. His vocal performance carries quite the authority, delivering each line with confidence of someone who has lived every emotion that he's singing about. Lyrically, the song explores the growing disconnect between what people say and what people actually mean. In an era dominated by social media and empty promises, Midge questions whether words have lost their value.
Yeah, Just Words is a clear statement of the album's concerns. Lyrically, it focuses on hollow or manipulative rhetoric, looking at how language is used to blur responsibility and truth. But the music is calm and spacious, building toward a more expansive chorus that still feels kind of controlled. Ure's vocal sits close and conversational, which keeps the critique, I think, grounded. It sets up the record's wider interest in integrity and the cost of just words in public life.
The next track, World Away.
And please, 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 try not to run. And please, 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 stop giving our world away.
found this track to expand the emotional landscape with one of the album's most cinematic arrangements. Gentle synthesizer washes slowly beneath the understated guitar work. I found this track to reward repeated listens as subtle details emerge within the arrangement. Once again, it's a great headphone track. The song captures the loneliness that can exist even when surrounded by people, whether interpreted as emotional distance between two individuals or broader distance found throughout modern society. Midge leaves enough ambiguity for the listeners to find their own meaning, and I found his vocal delivery to be beautifully understated.
Yeah, Steve, you're right that the song and the album as a whole benefits from repeated listens. World Away continues the theme of distance and estrangement implied by the title. The arrangement keeps to the album's restrained palette with gentle electronics, I think, and a slow build. It comes across as a more inward and reflective track, focusing on emotional and possibly geographic separation. And the mood is soft but unsettled, matching the sense of being out of step with the surrounding world. It helps deepen the record's atmosphere of quiet dislocation after the opener's sharper focus on language.
All right, we'll move on to the next track, Shouting to the Moon.
So hear between the words and read between the lines. We've all been fed. If a million voices call the tune, we might as well keep singing to the moon.
I found this to be one of the album's emotional high points. This song balances vulnerability with determination. The title alone invokes the feeling of calling out into the empty universe, hoping someone or something is listening. Musically, it's one of the richest tracks on the album. Layered synthesizers create a spacious backdrop, while tasteful guitar textures add warmth and movement.
Yeah, it seems to be about trying to be heard and to act together in a noisy, distracted world. And the title carries that mix of frustration and hope, calling out into the void, but still making the effort. Musically, it has a dreamy, drifting feel that lets the listener float while taking in that message. And Ure's vocals sit in a gentle, contemplative register, I think, avoiding anger in favor of just maybe a more patient concern. But it does push the album outward towards questions of collective power and connection.
We're going to move on to the next song on the album, Caught in the Middle.
Before my own way, 'cause here I stand, caught in the middle, pulled from both sides to tear my heart, split and divided with a hand in each hand, and here I stand, caught in the middle.
This track introduces a slightly stronger rhythmic pulse while maintaining the album's thoughtful atmosphere. To me, the production really recalls elements of Midge's solo work from the late 80s. The lyrics examine the uncomfortable reality of living in a polarized world where compromise often seems impossible and everyone expects people to choose sides. Midge doesn't preach or offer easy solutions. Instead, he explores the emotional exhaustion of trying to remain compassionate while surrounded by constant conflict. His measured performance gives the song considerable emotional weight.
Yeah, Caught in the Middle focuses more on human weakness and compromise, I think. And it captures the feeling of being pulled between forces or ideals and not fully belonging to either. The arrangement stays sparse with careful use of synths and guitar to underline the unease without overpowering it. Ure's performance is, I think, resigned rather than dramatic, but it fits the theme of everyday human fallibility. It adds nuance by showing that the album is not only about those out there, but also personal limitations. Okay, well, the next track is Ordinary Man, Precious Moments.
In my mind, love slipped on by, line after line, fighting for time
this one feels like it's about aging and mortality and the value of small moments in everyday life. I think the emphasis is on regular life rather than heroic storytelling. Musically, it is gentle and spacious, giving plenty of room for vocal and melody. And the song carries a tone of acceptance and quiet gratitude alongside awareness of time passing. And I think this is one of the emotional anchors of the album's kind of personal side.
Yeah, Don, you're right. I really found this album to be one of the most personable moments. This song strips away much of the surrounding atmosphere in favor of intimacy. Rather than focusing on world events or social issues, Midge seems to turn inward, celebrating the quiet experience that often defines a meaningful life. I found the arrangement to be beautifully restrained, allowing piano, synthesizers, and subtle orchestration to support one of the strongest vocal performances on the album.
Okay, the next cut is Somewhere Out There.
This truth and lies, the cold hand you dealt me. Picture yourself in a world where they care. Somewhere out there.
I think this is one of the more beautiful moments on the record. I think the title sort of points again to distance, but also possibility, hinting at hope beyond immediate circumstances. And the production stays in line with the rest of the album, kind of slow moving and layered and reflective. But it comes across as a searching song, right? Looking for connection or meaning beyond maybe present tension. Ure keeps the vocal understated, which keeps the sense of longing subtle. But yeah, I would say this helps balance some of the more critical songs with a more outward-looking horizon.
Don, I found this track to offer one of the album's most brightest melodic moments. The production feels open and optimistic. The track explores hope, connection, and the belief that even during periods of isolation, there are people searching for the same sense of belonging.
So the album's penultimate song is The Man Who Stole Your Soul.
From motherland to fatherland, from open hearts to twisted blinkered view, turn it around. Time to take the time to make the time to take it back from the man who stole your soul.
So after many songs that are kind of slow and atmospheric, we finally get something with a bit of a backbeat and rhythm. The song seems to be about spiritual or emotional theft as a way of kind of talking about damaged public life. But yeah, there's like I said, there's finally some some energy and some rhythm to it. Musically, it's otherwise kind of restrained and mournful. Not quite explosive. But yeah, seems to be about a loss of decency and empathy rather than any specific policy points that Ure is trying to get to. But I'd say it stands out as one of the album's more like overtly topical songs.
The song examines manipulation, emotional abuse, and the people who gradually drain others of their identity. Rather than approaching the subject with anger, Midge delivers the lyrics with quiet empathy, making the song feel more compassionate than accusatory. The production here is wonderfully textured, layering atmospheric synths beneath subtle guitar lines that continually shift throughout the emotional tone. The arrangement built gradually without ever exploding into a dramatic climax. It's allowing the tension to remain just beneath the surface, and I found it to be one of the album's most sophisticated compositions and rewards careful listening.
And we reach the final cut of the album, Fan the Flame.
Through your thin disguise, paper promise lies, with those words you brought, without mind or thought.
Fan the Flame seems to be about keeping something alive rather than letting it die out. It's tending hope, conscience, or compassion in a tiring environment. Again, the arrangement is gentle but purposeful, making it feel like a quiet call to persistence. And Ure's vocal keeps that tone of encouragement low-key rather than rousing. But this definitely works as a final reminder that the album is about holding on, not giving in.
Closing out this album, this track provides exactly the ending that these songs deserve. While many of the previous tracks wrestle with uncertainty, I found this final piece offers cautious optimism. To me, the title itself suggests protecting hope rather than allowing it to disappear. Midge's vocals remain remarkably expressive. Rather than ending the song in dramatic fashion, the song gently encourages listeners to continue searching for compassion, creativity, and a connection in a difficult world. And I found the song really to be a fitting conclusion, not just to World 2, the songs, but really to the entire A Man of Two Worlds projects.
So A Man of Two Worlds, World 2 songs, really grew on me. It took a little time, but I finally kind of got it. It's a set of songs that feel quiet, reflective, and very focused on mood. Midge Ure keeps the arrangement spare and lets the themes carry the weight. The record deals with public dishonesty, distance, aging, and endurance, but does not sound overstated. And the songs move slowly, but they don't really drift. It's a thoughtful late career album by someone who still has something to say.
Yeah, Don, you're right. I found this album, World 2 Songs, isn't an album filled with instant radio singles or obvious commercial hooks. And you're right, it did take actually quite a few listens to really start to enjoy this. And as I did, I really picked up more and more each listen, and it continued to grow on me. I found this album to be one that grows richer with every listen. Midge Ure writes from the perspective of an artist who has nothing left to prove, focusing instead on honesty, craftsmanship, and being authentic. Fans expecting another Vienna or If I Was may find the album to be understated, but those who are willing to spend time with it will discover one of Midge's strongest. Will discover that this is maybe one of Midge's strongest solo statements. It's a reminder that some of the most meaningful music doesn't demand your attention, but it earns it.
Well said.
Well done. Looking ahead to our next album review, we're going to be jumping into some more recent releases. Why don't you go ahead and let us know what we're going to be taking a listen to?
Yeah, well, we're going to be hearing from, two indie bands, I think, that carried on some of the new wave spirit. So we'll discuss Death Cab for Cuties, I Built You a Tower, and Modest Mouse's An Eraser and a Maze.
That should be a great episode, and as always, we hope you join us. If this is your first time listening, we thank you and ask that you please subscribe. That's a great way to support us. And if you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to leave us a 5-star review. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search for New Wave Music Podcast. We'll catch you on the next episode.